Is Meghan Markle getting a bit manic at the Invictus Games after a horrifically awful January? She is desperate for some positive press. And of course, the Invictus Games is sort of a layup, you could say. But you also see a Meghan that I feel like we only see during certain times. And I would call that more the manic Meghan, that she's grinning so incredibly hard because she's just trying to sell whatever she's doing, or she's just trying to look so incredibly happy and that everything's going fine and it's going well, and she's almost overcompensating. And it's rather fascinating to see because really at the end of the day, most of her bad press is a result of herself and people commenting and discussing it. So she doesn't really have anybody else to blame. And the crux of the criticism, which was on the previous video I uploaded earlier, is that she's really just not authentic. And her lack of authenticity means that people just don't connect with her quite as much. And smiling is not going to make it happen, including the very over the top PDA, including more kisses, more cuddling. Harry and Meghan don't seem to understand the concept of personal versus professional. And we have actually a great example of royals who shared a bit of their personal relationship, but at the same time, that was a very specific situation for a very specific purpose. Harry and Meghan do it all the time. And I have to say, I feel like almost the manic expressions and the manicness that Meghan Markle is displaying is a reflection of the fact that things are going well. I feel like the overness of the PDA is just a reflection of maybe a deteriorating relationship. So we shall explore a little bit of this today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, hello, my name is Brittany and I provide compelling royal commentary. So please hit that subscribe button. It does help us out quite a bit. And if you enjoy what we talk about and want to meet other royal watchers in person because your husband, your cousin, your best friend are sick of hearing about Meghan Markle, feel free to check out an upcoming trip I have to the south of France. It'll be sort of a short one, about 5-ish days, but there is a day trip to Monaco, which is optional, but you must sign up for it. And just saying. And it's just an opportunity to be a bit relaxed. Check out Nice, go to another place. There's a wine tasting for all those of you who really enjoy the wine. And so there's just going to be a great time too, though, to make friends. We have people who have gone on these trips now multiple times. They love it. So if you guys are interested, there's a link up above and a link in the description box down below. This will be my 5th trip. We have some people who have gone 4 times, 3 times, 2 times. So we have many people going who go again and again and again because it is so amazing. So guys, feel free again to check out that link down below. So let's go ahead and get into this because I was searching through Getty Images, which is what I do. I thought it was funny one time because somebody said, "Oh, you're stalking." I'm like, it's not stalking. It's like publicly available for everyone to see. And I looked through Getty Images quite a bit because what I like to do is I like to find pictures that people haven't seen before to share. Because if you've seen the same picture of Harry and Meghan 50 million times, it maybe make you less likely to click on a video. I find sometimes if I'm going through pictures, some interesting pictures that generally don't make the headlines. So as always, I looked through Getty Images and found the pictures of Harry and Meghan. So I mostly just searched for Meghan Markle. And one of the things that I find so frustrating about looking for pictures of Meghan, and I've had this issue for a long time now, is I want to see different expressions. Now, they don't necessarily have to be bad expressions, but I want a bit of a different expression because I'm trying to sell a story in a thumbnail. I'm trying to find an interesting angle. And what you will find about Meghan Markle, and granted, this is probably because in part the photographers upload their best pictures, and I get that, is that she has the same plastered on smile all the time. It's actually frustrating to look for pictures because she has the same grin constantly. But sometimes too, I feel like it gets a little manic. And so we see this a little bit here, grinning really hard. And she's grinning the entire time she's walking down the stairs. And Harry, you'll see here, has different expressions. Sorry that the little thing is popping up. So she's talking to him a bit. He's getting emotional watching something. And then we got, oh, the two-handed death grip here. Smiling. And so this is, I feel like, sort of a more normal smile. But she tends to get a bit manic. These are what I would consider Meghan's more manic smiles. And I feel like we see this smile in very specific situations. It seems to come out when she wants you to think things are going well and they're not going well. I remember the smile really stuck out to me when we saw them going into the bungalows. I mentioned this in the last video, so if you just watched the last video, I'm so sorry, but it still holds to be true. Is that when she went into the bungalows, she was grinning so hard. And I thought that was rather weird because she didn't really need to be grinning. She didn't really need to be. And then she was grinning so hard. And her expression sometimes overshadows Harry's. So they're actually sort of actually on the same wavelength here, which is nice. But you'll see her doing grinning manically, and he's just not really grinning at all. And so it looks sort of different, or she's shouting and he's kind of has a sour expression. So you actually see through here. I'm sorry that every time I hover over one, you get that little bit of text, but he has a variety of expressions and she almost always has the same expression. And when I say sort of, she's overdoing this cheering thing here. Like it's nice, but seems like she's really, really doing it. Oh, and he doesn't look super happy there that she is filming him. And so it seems to be something when things aren't going super right that she's sort of overbearing in a way to try and sell it. See it a bit here. I mean, he's smiling there too, but she's really, really smiling. There's a natural smile, and then I feel like there's the really forced grin that she'll get sometimes. And when it happened at we gotta take a pic of his. But when it happened at the bungalows, it was just after the news that they had been kicked out of Frogmore Cottage dropped. Just after. So it was like almost like a last minute trip because it was raining. So the paparazzi generally probably would not go there unless they were told, hey, come here. They were like right next to them and stuff. And so it's just like they totally called the paps just to get and show, hey, we're still fine. We've been kicked out of Frogmore Cottage, but we don't care. We're still doing good. I was like, it's got to hurt too. And it's got to be frustrating that things aren't going your way. So let's look at the kiss. Now, I'll let you watch a little bit of a video here of the kiss because the video shows bit of a different side that he sort of leans into her first. But what I find interesting here is that his arms are completely down at his sides. We don't even see his hand come over here around her waist. He's just like, I gotta do this. He leans into her, but it's just kind of like, uh-huh. I mean, I guess he's maybe nervous about giving a speech, which was actually kind of awful, by the way. I was a bit surprised how terrible it was. He's not a great speech giver. He's not a great interviewer. So, and then we have these moments where it's obviously something emotional. It might be referencing him, but she's like totally leaning on his shoulder and everything. And I gotta say, you guys aren't on a date. This is work. There's a difference between work and personal. Like we see this with actually Catherine and William, and somebody brought it up, and I pointed it out on X. Is that obviously in their video talking about Catherine being done with her chemotherapy treatments? There is a bit of the video where Catherine's leaning her head on William's shoulder. Now, what is interesting and unique about that video is that it was a time where they were showing us what it's like behind the scenes. They're showing us their personal life, but that is not their professional life. When they're royals and they're on, you get a different couple. They're not touchy feely. They don't act like they're on a date because they're not on a date. They're working. And yes, Harry and Meghan are no longer working royals, but he's technically at a work event. And I feel like she looks so childish. Guys, they tell you all the time, this is a strong, independent woman. She's grabbing onto him as if she's a child in public. Like, I understand if you're watching a movie and want to cuddle or something, but I think there's ways to do this where you don't look so childish and clingy. I mean, she must be stifling. She constantly has to cling to him. And the funny and ironic thing is that I believe they used to call Catherine in some of the aristocratic circles, including Harry, a limpet, which is something that like grabs on to something else. They used to do it to sort of make fun of her, but Harry married the like exact person who does that. So it's kind of a little silly, but I just find it so interesting that he doesn't reach up for her. And you can see that she's trying and cuddling up next to him, eyes closed and everything. Now, again, he looks emotional here, so maybe it's something in reference to him and the Invictus games or whatever. I sort of get that, but also it seems a little bit weird. Again, you see the manic smile. You see it here and here. So much manicness in one spot. Overreacting there. Just so much. It's so much. She's trying so hard. She's overdoing it. And it lacks, I feel like, a level of decorum. And royals have decorum. Harry and Meghan obviously are not working royals. I would argue they're not even royals, but they claim royal titles. And so I will hold them to royal standards. She looks a little bit ridiculous. Other people there who are representatives are not being as crazy as she is with that stuff. And you got to wonder why. You don't really need to be doing that. And he almost looks annoyed with her sometimes. And so she's got to lean into him. He's leaning away. I mean, there's a couple good moments here, but you also see here, and I'm sure you notice it, a variety of expressions to Harry. Whereas Meghan, you almost always see the same exact one. Of course, unless she's trying to look sympathetic or whatever the heck they're doing there. And I tried to watch the Invictus games. I tried to pull up the live stream. Guys, I don't know. They might fix it later, but the quality of the audio is horrifically bad. It's horrifically awful. So I don't know if they'll fix it or what. So then she's on her phone. They also have to call them the Duke, the Duchess of Sussex. Like, come on now. That always drives me bonkers. But like the grin is plastered on when she sees the people. And again, these are sort of same, different photographers and stuff get different angles, take pictures at different times. So there we go back. But these are the ones I initially saw. So that's more of a natural smile. But then when you go down here, the grinning so hard, grinning all the time, grinning. And I mean, to be fair, I have been told, well, it's nice of her to smile. I mean, it is. I get it. But it also feels incredibly forced. It feels like a bit over the top, trying so hard to sell it. And what are they trying to sell? Number one, I think they're really trying to sell their love. We got a story just last month that Meghan shopped around a divorce book. So that has got to be weighing on them quite a bit. Because you got to wonder if Harry looked at her going, is that true? And she's like, oh, no. But that seed has been planted in his mind. He can't totally ignore it because it's not like this is a casual publication. I mean, they still said it, they weren't sure, but this was Vanity Fair. They had to be pretty sure to run it, to be quite honest. So they were pretty sure it was true. And then we have the disastrous month in terms of PR. Meghan Markle is desperately trying to sell herself. She needs viewers for her TV show. She needs the public's attention on her Instagram. She's trying so incredibly hard. And you feel it. It doesn't feel natural to me. It feels like overwrought, too much, over the top, because she's trying to overcorrect. And overcorrect would be, I think, to actually not be there. Because the problem the Invictus Games is having is that it's becoming the Harry and Meghan show. It's becoming all about them. It's rarely really about the competitors anymore. And because of that, Harry and Meghan being there just naturally just siphon all the energy out of the room or any of the other press attention because nobody cares about the competitors. And that's true too of the concert itself. This is my opinion, but there was this interview or whatever where the guy said, oh, there's going to be 40,000 people there to cheer on these competitors. I'm like, no, they're there because of the concert. You've been advertising the concert. Yes, Invictus is part of it, but you're advertising the concert. That's why a good chunk of people are there. They get to see Katy Perry and Chris Martin. It's not a terribly expensive show. I think it was around $50. And they maybe feel good because, oh, yeah, we supported the veterans. Maybe we get to see Harry and Meghan. But they're there for the concert. They're not really there for the veterans. And I feel like it's disingenuous to tell the veterans, hey, they're all here to cheer you on, when none of those people will turn up in the stands later. I think Invictus does this because they don't think they can sell tickets without a big musical guest and more musical guests than they used to get because they're aware of how toxic Harry and Meghan are in the public press. So they have to get more musical guests to offset the toxicity of Harry and Meghan. And Meghan wants so desperately to be universally adored and loved. And I get it. That's nice. But she doesn't do the necessary groundwork to make that happen. Because the reality is, no matter what she does now, the only way really to fix her public reputation is to make amends with her in-laws. No amount of manic grinning will ameliorate the fact that you publicly tried to malign your in-laws. You threw out ugly accusations against them, multiple times, both advertently and inadvertently. Then you failed to clear the record at one point when you said, "Oh, no, we didn't tell the world they were racist." I was like, "Yes, you did. That's exactly what you two did." Until she can fix that, Meghan Markle will not be able to ever fix her public reputation. It will always be in tatters because she decided to go the gutter route when it came to getting as much money and attention as possible when they left the royal family. Instead of trying to find a way to amend their relationship with his family, trying to find a middle ground, whatever, they went the ugly, self-destructive route. And so she can be there and she can be trying to sell the marriage and the relationship and everything, but the damage to her public reputation has already been done. Amount of kissing will amend the fact that you told the world that what you didn't know at the time, but most likely was a woman going through or in the beginning stages of finding out that she needed massive surgery and having health issues. Because I imagine Catherine was having health issues for a little while before she knew she had to have surgery. Little friend Omid Scobie, right, that Catherine was one of the alleged royal racists, which I would imagine led to even more stress. And then he tried to backtrack it, which made no sense because they were the right people, like as Harry and Meghan confirmed. So were they the right people if he didn't know? They're not good at covering their tracks sometimes. You guys got to kind of deal with logic. And so here's the other possibility that's, you could say, something to consider is that their relationship, she's trying to sell that almost more than ever, when really it might be falling apart behind the scenes. And I do these sort of off the top of my head, so I might have gotten this a little bit confused. But when you see, I might be a little out of order here, but Harry and Meghan, to me, have always seemed very performative in their relationship. They perform publicly about it. They have to hold hands. She has to cling on to him as if he will run away if she's not two-handing death gripping him. They're trying to sell it so hard because what if things are getting worse behind the scenes? Harry and Meghan have issues. They'll have financial issues. If the Netflix doesn't renew the deal, which I doubt they will, if Meghan Markle's series isn't a smashing success, they will lose out on massive revenue streams, 100%. What else are they going to move to next? They don't have a relationship with their families, so that will cause tensions, and that will cause a level of resentment, especially from Harry. They have court cases they've been a part of, Harry in particular, numerous court cases. None of those have really gone anywhere. And in one case, he now looks like a massive hypocrite because he settled, even though he said time and time again he would never settle. So he looks like a hypocrite. They also have challenges with their public image. They've been called disaster tourists, especially Meghan. She's been really singled out. And that's got to be so aggravating to her. And I'm sure that's resulting in tensions at home. How can it not? Things aren't going the way they thought they would. Things aren't going as smoothly as they wanted them to. But I mean, in some ways, I have no sympathy because they only had themselves to blame. So no matter how hard Meghan smiles, it won't make up for lousy business decisions, terrible relationships with family. And then you also have the expose, and another one in Vanity Fair, calling Meghan Markle a horrible boss, that she's terrible to work for. She drives people to therapy. And they're probably maybe aware that Netflix is not going to re-sign them and are trying to farm themselves out to other production companies. And nobody wants to touch them with a 10-foot pole because their reputation is so horrible. And so they're sort of desperately clinging to Invictus because that's the last, kind of shiny jewel in their arsenal. But things have not gone the way they thought they would. Again, I don't really have any sympathy in many ways because they mostly did this to themselves. They could have left the royal family with dignity, with respect, with grace. But no, they decided to light it on fire. They decided to put a little bag of poop on the doorstep and light it on fire. And then they're mad when things start to smell and things get disastrous. And then they have to come over and clean it and it's not working. Like nothing is working. But they should have had a better plan. They should have come to the royals with more respect, more deference, figured out something that worked because I guarantee you there was something that could have worked. But Meghan wanted greed. She wants massive amounts of cash. We heard recently in an article for a Tom Quinn book is that she thought she was marrying a billionaire when she was marrying a millionaire. And we see this reflected in the amount of money she spends on clothing, on jewelry. She wants massive influxes of cash. But she married a guy who barely graduated high school, who apparently is incapable of doing anything else but royalty. And she's apparently, which she should have known because she was trying to make it in Hollywood for a while and it really didn't go anywhere. So she's a pretty mediocre, if almost non existent creative talent. And so they're falling back to influencing and hoping that goes well. When there's people who are like virtual unknowns, which have a bigger Instagram following than they do, normal people. It's crazy. Or TikTok or whatever. And she's even like 10 years behind. She's on Instagram trying to be TikTok. When it's like, you should be on TikTok if you're trying to do this at all. Like, it's just such a mess. And Meghan is trying to, let's say, avoid things the best she can, trying to put her best foot forward, but grinning all the while, and none of that grinning is making things any better. So, guys, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of Meghan Markle's manic grinning. It appears from time to time, and I think it's sometimes a sign that things aren't going so well. But I hope the competitors of Invictus have a fantastic time. Really hope you do. And I hope the Invictus games can figure out how to live without Harry and Meghan. If they can't figure out how to do that, these games will fail. So, guys, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you soon. Bye.